Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on an invisible force that, well, it pretty much runs our world: electric charge. It's the secret behind that static shock from a doorknob, and so much more. Let's get into it.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That little zap you get from a doorknob on a cold day? Or when you rub a balloon on your head and, like magic, it just sticks to the wall. It feels like a neat party trick, but what you're actually seeing is pure physics. It all boils down to this invisible property that everything is made of.
So, to really understand that spark, we have to start at square one. We've got to talk about what electric charge actually is. Because this one thing, it's the source of everything from static cling to massive lightning bolts.
And you know what? The idea is actually super simple. Electric charge isn't some weird magical substance. It's just an imbalance. See, everything is made of atoms, and atoms have positive little things called protons and negative little things called electrons. Normally, they're perfectly balanced, so the object is neutral. But when you knock that balance out of whack, that's when an object gets a charge.
And that imbalance can really only go two ways. If an object loses a few electrons, it suddenly has more positive protons left over, and boom, it has a positive charge. But if it picks up some extra electrons, now it's got too many negative particles, so it gets a negative charge. Simple as that. It's all about where those tiny electrons decide to go.
Okay, so we've got these charged objects. What happens when you bring them close to each other? Well, it turns out they don't just do whatever they want. They follow a very strict set of rules.
And this rule is one of the most fundamental laws in the entire universe. It's also incredibly simple. Opposites attract and likes repel. So, two positive charges, they're going to push each other away. Two negative charges, same deal, they repel. But you bring a positive charge and a negative charge near each other, and they'll pull right together. This is the engine that drives the whole show.
All right, that makes sense for things that are already charged. But hang on, what about that balloon sticking to a perfectly neutral wall? Or a charged comb picking up little bits of paper that have no charge? How does that work? How can something charged attract something that's, well, neutral?
The answer is this really cool process called electrostatic induction. Let's say you bring a positively charged ruler near a neutral piece of paper. Even though the paper is neutral, the charges inside it can still move around. The ruler's positive charge literally pushes the positive charges in the paper away and yanks the negative charges closer. So now the surface of the paper closest to the ruler is negatively charged, creating an attraction strong enough to actually lift it up. It's not magic, it's just physics doing its thing.
Now, this push and pull we're talking about, it's not just some vague concept. It's a real, measurable force that can act across totally empty space. But what makes that force strong or weak?
Well, what's great is that it all boils down to just two really simple, logical factors.
First, it's about the amount of charge. Pretty straightforward. The more charge you pack onto the objects, the stronger the force between them is going to be. And second, it's about distance. The farther apart those charges get, the weaker the force becomes, and it drops off really fast. So, more charge, more force. More distance, way less force.
But this brings up a really deep question. I mean, if these charges aren't even touching, how do they know the other one is there? How does that push or pull travel through nothing?
Seriously, think about it. How do they feel each other without any physical contact? This is one of those classic physics problems, action at a distance, and it puzzled scientists for a long time. The answer isn't in the charges themselves, but in the space all around them.
The solution is this amazing idea called the electric field. Every single charged object creates this invisible field of influence that radiates out into the space around it. You can almost think of it like a spider in the middle of a web. The charge is the spider, and the field is the web. The spider doesn't have to touch a fly to know it's there. It feels the vibrations in the web. The electric field is like that web. It's the thing that carries the force.
So, since we can't actually see this field, physicists came up with a clever way to visualize it using something called field lines. And these lines have very specific rules. They always point away from positive charges and point towards negative charges. They can never, ever cross. And here's the key. Wherever the lines are bunched up really close together, that's where the field is super strong. And where they're spread far apart, the field is weak.
So now that we get this whole concept of fields, it turns out we can do some really surprising and useful things. One of the coolest is that we can actually create a little bubble of space that's totally safe from any outside electric forces.
No, really. As powerful as this force is, it's possible to completely block it. This isn't science fiction. It's a basic consequence of how these electric fields behave when they run into certain materials.
You can even see this for yourself with a super simple experiment. Your cell phone gets its signal from electromagnetic waves, right? Those waves have an electric field. But if you put your phone inside a hollow metal box, like, say, a cooking pot with a lid, the signal just vanishes. What happens is the metal pot forces that external electric field to flow around the outside, leaving the inside totally shielded.
This whole effect has a name: electrostatic shielding. The space inside any hollow conductor becomes a safe zone where the electric field is always zero, no matter how intense the field is on the outside. It's exactly why you're safe inside a car during a lightning storm. The car's metal frame acts like a shield, and the electricity just flows around you.
So from that tiny little shock on a doorknob all the way up to the vast, invisible fields that hold our world together, it's all the same fundamental force. And the moment we understand it, we gain the power to control it. The next time you lose your cell signal in an elevator, you'll know exactly why. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a simple metal box can block a force that powerful, what other invisible forces are we just now learning how to shield ourselves from?